And welcome everyone to another Smart Money Circle episode. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is Steve Harshbarger, who's the president and CEO at Sono-Tek, ticker symbol is SOTK. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the Smart Money Circle.
Thanks, Adam. Nice to be here.
So, Steve, I always like to begin. Can you please tell us your story and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. When I think back on it, I actually started out with a fairly traditional business background. I studied finance at Bentley College, and for most of my college, I actually assumed I would take a path to Wall Street. But towards the end of school, I had a pretty honest realization that while I understood finance, I just wasn't really wired to sit behind spreadsheets all day. I had friends around me who were far smarter than me and probably better suited to do that type of work. And what I really enjoyed was interacting with people, understanding customers. And very important to me was being involved with technology type of products. And I realized that if I was going to be enjoying my career, I wanted to work in advanced technologies where I can be involved with both the product development and the market development, and maybe actually really see a tangible impact as the product reaches the world. And I got very lucky early on in my career, in my internship, actually, in my first job out of school. And I worked with one of the earliest flat panel display companies in the world on plasma display technology. Now, this was way back in the days when large CRTs that really just, dominated the market. So even the idea of a flat panel display was pretty revolutionary, actually. And it was a small startup of around 50 to 70 people. And my cubicle happened to be right outside the CEO's office. And he was a man that was very generous with his time. And because we both tended to work to the late evenings, I really had this front row seat of how a company was being built. And pretty early on, I was given the responsibility to help establish the front end of the business while also really getting deeply involved in the financial side of a startup. And that included working, with the VCs and the angel investors to help raise capital throughout the years of the company. And one of the really fun experiences from that time was introducing what was the first flat panel displays really to the Wall Street trading floors. And of course, space was at a real premium there. And the visual wow factor was very important. It would really resonate because no one had ever really seen anything like it. Now, ultimately, that company had a successful exit when it was sold to Panasonic. And looking back, it was probably a combination of timing and a bit of luck worked in our favor because LCD technology eventually won the flat panel race and plasma displays were replaced. And then after that experience, I joined Sono-Tek now in 1993 because once again, I really saw a technology that had the potential to make a meaningful impact. And over the past now 30 years, we've dramatically expanded the company's technological capabilities, while the end markets really have evolved into some of the most advanced high-tech sectors really in the world. And throughout that time, I've focused primarily on the front end of the business, sales, distribution, and new application development, and gradually over time took a broader operational responsibilities, which eventually led me to becoming president and now CEO. And the one thing that's really, I guess, remained constant through my career is a very customer-focused mindset. Really getting a deep understanding of applications, solving problems, and supporting customers as they bring these new advanced technology products into the world.
Wow, I love that. And as you were speaking, you said customer the first time, and I was like, wow, that Wall Street spreadsheets, no bueno, like they say, but customers, humans, and making an impact, bueno. So that really jumped out at me. Wow, I like that a lot. And it speaks to your character and also to what your vision is and what gets you motivated. So that's really cool. All right, next question for you, Steve. Let's talk about your business. Please tell us your business's story, some competitive advantages, anything you want to share, please.
Sure. So Sono-Tek designs and manufactures ultrasonic coating systems that enable precise applications of very thin functional coatings. Our technology is most commonly used in industries where coating quality is a really critically important. Things like medical devices, microelectronics, clean energy applications, and other advanced nanomaterial type of applications. And one of the things that really differentiates Sono-Tek is that we don't just sell the equipment. We provide complete coating platforms supported by very deep application expertise. And our customer base, it includes really some of the world's largest technology companies, along there with some of the national laboratories and leading universities. And in most cases, our customers begin working with us on the R&D environment, and then they develop their process. And then as their technology matures, our systems scale with them into pilot and then ultimately into production environments. And that approach, it really tends to create this very long-term, I would describe it as like almost a partnership, and many reoccurring opportunities as the customer grows. And from an investor perspective, we really worked hard to build a business with discipline. We focus on high value, high average selling price systems, high ASPs, rather than competing in that low commodity equipment market. And that strategy, it really has allowed us to maintain consistent profitability while continuing to invest significantly in technology development and application engineering. So really at the core, Sono-Tek is about helping customers commercialize next-gen technologies through the precise deposition of advanced functional and protective coatings.
I love that. So let's talk about let's talk about risk, because I think that's an important element here. How do you handle risk from a business standpoint? What are some mistakes you see people make with respect to risk management? I know that you're doing a very narrow niche here, so I'd like you to please share anything you want to share about risk management, please.
Sure. That's also an interesting question because, some level of risk, of course, is unavoidable in any growing business. The goal here isn't to eliminate risk. It's really to understand it and manage it intelligently, right? So over time, we've taken a very disciplined approach. And I think that's one reason investors, they often view the company as having meaningful upside potential with relatively limited downside risk. And you can see that in our long track record of remaining profitable while continuing to grow. So today, we have this very strong financial position with a solid cash position. We own our industrial complex. We own and operate with no debt. And all of this really allows us to take calculated risk without putting the core business at risk. One mistake, I probably made early in my career was sometimes confusing uncertainty with risk. New opportunities almost always involve uncertainty, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean they're reckless if you don't understand, if you clearly understand the downside and you size your bets then appropriately. So our philosophy here is to take risks from a position of strength, stay very financially disciplined, focus on what we do best, and invest steady in areas where we believe the long-term risk will justify the return.
Yeah, okay, I love that. Even the distinction between, first off, risk is everywhere, so let's get that out of the way.
Yeah,
And then risk
right.
versus uncertainty, there's two different things there as well. Let's get that out of the way and then look for the long-term payoff, the risk versus reward, make sure the reward justifies the potential risk and then some, but not over the short term. You're looking at the long term, which I love.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, wonderful. Next question for you, Steve. What are some timeless lessons you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience? You can go in any direction, business, life, relationships, the door's wide open.
Okay, another good question. I guess one of the biggest lessons I've learned, sometimes the hard way, is that focus really matters more than anything else. It's very easy for business to get distracted by short-term opportunities, but long-term success usually comes from doing a few things really exceptionally well and continuing to build on them over time. And I guess another lesson is that people and culture within an organization are really absolutely critical. Sono-Tek's been very fortunate in this area. We have this outstanding group of talented individuals who have really grown with the company and genuinely work towards a shared vision of making the business successful. And how you treat people and the standards a company sets early on really tends to compound over time. And even small compromises in culture or integrity almost always will end up showing up later. Uh, so that's important. And I've also learned that, good execution usually trumps good ideas. We hear, plenty of good ideas, but the ones we pursue are those where we really have the right team, or sometimes it can even be the right individual who can execute on that idea successfully. Coming up with a good idea is usually easier than executing it well.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So let's talk about the flip side of that would be timeless mistakes. Either you've made, you've seen other people make. How do you learn from them so you don't repeat them?
Yeah, so best lessons for timeless mistakes. Um, I guess I would say uh, best lessons like for leadership. One of the most important lessons I've learned is the importance of recognizing people's contributions at every level of the organization, I would say. Um, Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to have two very strong mentors who emphasize that every person matters and that companies succeed when people feel valued and respected. Um, Most people genuinely want to do a good job. A leader's role is here to help them set them up for a clear success. But putting them in a position where they can, by putting them in a position where they can succeed, giving them clear uh, expectations and providing the tools, the support they need. When people feel trusted and capable, they tend to perform at much higher levels. And beyond compensation, people want to feel proud of the work they do at the team, and that's
Yeah.
part of it. We when people feel that their contributions matter, it really drives engagement, long-term teamwork, and ultimately long-term success for the organization.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think that is really, 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 really fantastic. It's you making people feel proud. I mean, allowing them to feel proud, plus the competition, but really enjoy the impact. The same thing that drives you, if I'm not mistaken, is you feel proud of your work and you've had, you could have went after Wall Street and done the spreadsheets, but you said, no, I want to go after bigger picture, help people, make an impact, so on and so forth. So you're taking that, if I understand you properly, and allowing your current staff or employees or team members do the same thing.
That's exactly right.
I love it. Okay, next question for you. We mentioned leadership. Well, before we move on, anything else about leadership that you'd like to share that I didn't ask her?
Um, I think that's what I said there is it's really just most importantly that people want to do a good job in their role and set them up for success. That's to me is the most important thing, and that every single position within the organization matters.
Yep, agreed. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Next question for you. Let's talk about adversity. Being successful, as you know, you have to handle adversity different than most folks and overcome obstacles. How do you handle adversity, and what are some obstacles you had to overcome along the way?
Let's see. One of the biggest obstacles both the company and myself personally experienced early on was operating with very limited resources. That period was resolved now a long time ago for Sonotech, but it really left a lasting impression on how we think about discipline and risk. When resources are tight, every decision matters. There's very little margin for error, and it really forces focus to happen. You learn quickly how to prioritize, how to allocate resources very carefully, and how to concentrate on what truly matters to keep the business moving forward. And those lessons really shaped how we think about our growth, investments, and financial responsibility. Today now, of course, Sono-Tek's in a very different position. We're a profitable, financial secure company with a strong balance sheet, which allows us to invest, innovate, and take very good calculated risk. But the discipline learned during those early years really remains very strong part of our culture and part of my internal makeup as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's why you get stronger, right? So I love that. Final question for you today, Steve. What is the best piece of advice you'd like to give the audience or your 30-year-old self?
I like that. If I had to share one piece of advice, it would be to say that it's okay to get things wrong sometimes, right? Not every decision works out, and that's simply part of building something, right? Meaningful. The key is recognizing it early, learning from it, and not letting a small mistake turn into a bigger problem. Around Sonotech, we have a saying here that we laugh about sometimes because I say it often, but I'll say, fail fast, fail cheap.
Love it.
If something isn't working, take the lesson and move on and make a better decision.
Yeah,
Um,
I love
and
that. It's almost like, sorry,
yeah,
it's like
we
from
use it a
church.
lot. It's just throughout the whole organization, we'll use it.
I love it.
And,
Yeah,
and
it's like
then
church.
I guess also,
Yeah.
it is just kind of just like a side of, you have to really sometimes try not to take yourself too seriously. We all work hard. We all care deeply about what we're building. But remember that still that really people want to enjoy coming to work. Uh, and if you can build something meaningful and have something fun along the way, you're probably doing something right with the business.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time today. Congrats on your success, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it was enjoyable chatting. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation. And honestly, I got to tell you, it's a little humbling to answer questions about leadership. Most of what I've learned came from watching others do it well,
Well,
and sometimes learning what not to do. So I've been lucky to work with some great people along the way.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you kindly.